Good evening, everybody. We are now called to order. Roll call, Monica.
Councilman Wickenhagen,
Here.
Councilwoman Mattson,
Here.
Councilwoman Vargas has not made an appearance yet. Councilman Peterson,
Here.
Councilman Bell,
Here.
Councilman Costello,
Here.
Councilman Carlson.
Here.
And Madam Mayor, as I previously stated, Councilwoman Vargas is running late. She will join the meeting as soon as she's able.
Okay. Thank you. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for prayer from Pastor Morris tonight.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Great. Thanks, Sherry. Thanks, Mayor. Thanks, council members. Thank you that I can be here. Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for a beautiful place in which to live. Thank you for these councilmen, councilwomen, those in the government that serve the citizens of Selah, and you bless them as they do so. Do you give them a real spirit of wisdom, of discernment in the times in which they live, and that they would govern well, they would do things in righteousness and do things justly, and bless them for their time. We thank you for their service to us. We ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Thanks, Mayor.
Agenda changes, we have none. Public appearances, introductions, and presentations. Tonight, we have Katrina Hinkle from the Downtown Association.
Hey, good evening, everyone. I hope you're having a great day. We are just about done with the planning for 12 business locations and 29 vendors will be at Sip and Stroll. Countless hours of volunteer work, sponsors we have 6 different artists for the art walk portion. So we're really kind of excited to present this event in partnership with the Chamber. So we hope that you guys will all join us, buy tickets, buy lots of script. It is a fundraiser for us as well. And it should be a really fun evening. We may get the utility box project done by the Friday before Sip and Stroll. We're wrapping that up as well, pun intended. And things are going pretty good over here. So I do want to say happy birthday to Mr. Carlson. That is today. So thanks, Sherry, for giving me the nod to embarrass him thoroughly at council. If it's got any questions, I would love to answer those. Thanks, everyone. Have a good meeting.
Thank you, Katrina. Getting to know our business, we have none. Communications under oral. Mr. Case.
Yes, Madam Mayor, before we do that, I suggest that we back up on the agenda to item C. Councilmember Vargas, I understand she's going to try to appear late, but as of right now, she's absent. I think the best procedure would be to actually have a motion excusing her absence, and then if and when she appears, to have a new motion, I guess, undoing that. Okay, undoing that, or somehow acknowledging that she's now present.
Okay. Council members,
Move.
Roger has moved to approve her absence. Kevin with the show of a hand is seconded it. All those in favor? All those opposed? Okay, it passes unanimously. When she comes back on, we'll announce that she has joined us.
So for the record, her present absence is excused pursuant to Selah Municipal Code 1.06.070 and will not be counted as an unexcused absence. Moving now to item I1. We are presently conducting the regular meeting portion of today's session. State law does not require a non-charter code city such as the city of Selah to allot time for public comment during a regular meeting between the mayor and city council. Historically, the city has chosen to allot time for public comment during its regular meetings, subject to a maximum of 2 minutes per commenter and common sense standards of decorum. Recently, those standards of decorum have been increasingly infringed. Those wishing to offer public comments during a regular meeting must comply with the following process and standards. Each commenter must state his or her full name and whether he or she is a registered voter residing within the city limits of Selah. Each commenter is limited to one comment and a maximum duration of 2 minutes per regular meeting. A maximum of 30 minutes per regular meeting will be allotted for all public comments. Comments must be constructive and respectful. No profanity, insults, defamation, or direct or implied personal attacks will be allowed. Criticism of city policy is allowed, but personal criticism of any individual is not allowed. The public comment process is not a question and answer process. Also, each commenter should speak solely for himself or herself rather than purporting to speak on behalf of others, repeating verbatim or nearly verbatim what another commenter has said, or repeating what a written document says. In-person comments will be heard from the podium in the order offered by commenters, and during the COVID shutdown, written comments will be read aloud in the order received by city staff, and telephonic comments may also be heard. The mayor may cut off any in-person or telephonic comment that he or she deems inappropriate, and city staff at the direction of the mayor may disallow or modify any written comment that is deemed inappropriate. These standards are subject to revision. Those who infringe the applicable standards may be barred from offering public comments during future regular meetings. Public comment during regular meetings is not the exclusive method to communicate with the mayor or city council on any topic. People may send emails or letters, leave voicemails, or request in-person meetings to or with the mayor or any member or members of the city council. The mayor and each member of the city council has personal discretion over how and when he or she might respond to emails, letters, voicemails, and requests for in-person meetings.
Thank you. Monica, did we have letters tonight?
Madam Mayor, we had one comment submitted from Debbie Freudenthal. It says, please do not support resolution action item N5. Madam Mayor, imagine yourself 2 years from now as a citizen. Because you care deeply about the citizens of Selah, wouldn't you want to know why? It could be as simple as a conflicting view of roles. The highest level city official was fired or disciplined. You have the privilege of serving the citizens of the city of Selah, as did Don Wayman. Isn't it critical for the future that the current city council considers the proper direction, what the proper direction for the city is, and why Don Wayman did not fit with that direction? What are the reasons that triggered the immediate termination and yet the backpedaling begins? If you have to provide 30 days of pay, then that would be June 24th, not 30th. Please don't let him have a city vehicle until then either. Please save Selah some dollars here. It would be best for this great community to be transparent so we can get some closure, be accountable, and move forward. Thank you, Mayor and Council, for your service to Selah. That's the only comment, Madam Mayor.
All right, thank you. Proclamations and announcements, we have none. Consent agenda. All items listed with an asterisk are considered routine by the city council and will be enacted with one motion without discussion. Should any council member request that any item on the consent agenda be considered separately, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and become part of the regular agenda.
Move to accept the consent agenda as presented.
Thank you, Kevin.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion to accept the consent agenda as written by Kevin, a second by Cliff. All those in favor? Opposed? By show of hands, it's a unanimous vote to approve. Monica, please read the consent agenda.
Approval of minutes, May 25, 2021 council meeting. approval of claims and payroll. Resolution N5, resolution authorizing the mayor and clerk treasurer to pay continued salary and provide continued fringe benefits to and for former employee Donald C. Wayman through the date of June 30, 2021, despite Mr. Wayman's final day of employment being May 25, 2021.
Thank you. Public hearings. Mr. Henny.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Tonight, we have a public hearing to consider the resolution adopting the 6-year transportation improvement program for secondary and arterial streets within the city of Selah for the years 2022 to 2027. We are asking that the mayor conduct and open a public hearing to take testimony pertaining to the approval of a resolution adopting the 2022-2027 6-year transportation improvement program. If you would like, I could read a listing of those projects.
Okay, go ahead, Joe.
I'll do so. Thank you. Priority number 1, Valley View Avenue / South 3rd Street / Southern Avenue to 1st Street. Priority number 2, Fremont sidewalk improvements. That is from 1st Street to North 4th Street. The sidewalks on the north side of that road. Priority number 3 is the transportation analysis. Priority number 4 is the Selah pedestrian and bicycle path studies. Priority number 5 is Southern Avenue improvements. Priority number 6 is South 3rd Street improvements, and that is from Natchez down to Valley View, where this other project number 1 will begin. Priority number 7, East Natchez Avenue, and that is from 823 to Rushmore Road. Priority number 8, Valley View Avenue and South 5th Street down to Southern. Priority number 9, East Goodlander Road and Lancaster traffic signal. Priority number 10, West Goodlander Road. And I'd just like to clarify a couple of things that Mr. Peterson asked at the last council meeting about why 3 and 4 are separate. And I kind of went over that a little bit last time about them. You know, the transportation study could be funded through federal highway monies. It could be funded by legislator action, and that's one thing that we have put in for on this go around for some of the congressmen and legislators to support. And priority number 4 is the pedestrian bicycle path study, and the transportation analysis. What we were looking to do with that, if we get funding for that, is to do what they call an origin and destination study. That basically tries to identify where people are coming from and where they're going to. And that'll also include speed study. And also it'll look at intersection information. And the bicycle pedestrian pathway is a evaluation that has a public outreach portion of it to try to take public testimony from the pedestrians for bicycle and pedestrians, and that will evaluate existing and new routes that could be identified from the transportation analysis. And yeah, we would probably see how the new routes or these other alternative roads would serve pedestrian and bicycle facilities. So that's the reason why they're separate, and we like to keep them that way. Nothing says that we can't try to mingle those later. So anyway, I'm asking you to open a public hearing, take testimony, and then we can move on.
Okay, we are now going to open a public hearing to consider the resolution adopting the 6-year transportation improvement program for the secondary and arterial streets within the city of Selah for the years of 2022 to 2027. Council, do you have any questions for Mr. Henny? Okay, looks like we have no questions from the council.
Jackie has her
Jackie?
hand up, Mayor.
Jackie?
Thank you. I didn't know if you saw my hand
You know
by
what?
the Zoom.
I don't, because it's yellow and it kind of blends in with your picture there.
Oh, okay. I'll just
Sorry.
raise my hand.
No, sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Henney. I was just wondering if we're anticipating any additional funds coming in that we might not have been available in the past, in the coming years? Any type of grants or anything like that?
Well, as the Federal Highway Administration makes funds available to Washington State, there periodically are programs put together, and we apply for those funds if when they become available and if they're applicable to the project and the scope of work. So that being said, there could be some stuff from the I don't remember the name of them now, that outdoor recreation funds that we use for the volunteer park. We could probably put that pedestrian and bicycle study onto onto the city's park plan, and incorporate that in there. And so perhaps there could be some funding from that, the Outdoor Recreation Agency.
Madam
Sorry.
Mayor, this is Jeff Peters, the city planner. To further answer your question, Councilman Mattson, we have applied for a raised grant application this year. I think you approved that at your last meeting. That's to help fund hopefully some of those traffic studies that are down near Southern and First Street as you come into town, as well as the Natchez extension, I'll call it, across the pond over to the I-82. And we've also submitted a lot of other funding requests for different funding packages that support traffic. But at this point in time, we don't have any other funding opportunities that we know of that has come to ahead at this point in time to where we can start to apply for it. So.
Thank you very much.
Madam Mayor, I think
Yes.
you need to ask if there's any members of the public who want to comment on the public hearing as well.
Yeah, I am. I'd like to recognize Suzanne has joined us.
Thank you. I apologize for my tardiness.
And Rob, sorry, we just need to notify that she joined us, correct?
I believe that's going to be sufficient. There's not a lot of rules for this specific scenario.
Okay, thank you. Okay, council, do you have any more questions for staff? Okay, we'll now open it up for the public if they have questions pertaining to the subject to our staff. Seeing no hands come up from the public, we will now close the public hearing. Thank you, everybody. Under general business, we have none. New business, we have none. And old business, we have none. Resolution N1, Joe Henney.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Action item N1 is the actual resolution adopting the 6-year transportation improvement program for secondary and collector arterial streets within the city of Selah for the years 2022 to 2027.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, Jackie.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the resolution adopting the 2022 to 2027 6-year transportation improvement program.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
A second.
We have a motion to approve by Jackie and a second by Russ. Roll call, Monica?
Councilman Wickenhagen,
Yes.
Councilwoman Matson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas,
Yes.
Councilman Peterson,
Yes.
Councilman Bell,
Yes.
Councilman Costello,
Yes.
Councilman Carlson,
Yes.
unanimous, Madam Mayor.
Thank you.
you.
Resolution. Resolution N2, Mr. Henny.
All right, resolution N2. For some reason, I'm out of order here. Is the resolution authorizing the mayor to sign the interlocal agency agreement between the city of Selah and Yakima County for right-of-way acquisition services for the Valley View South 3rd Street to Southern Avenue reconstruction project. The Yakima County has agreed to provide right-of-way acquisition services for the city of Selah. They have a real estate department within their street departments that has appraisers and a right-of-way manager and that can perform these functions and do so in accordance with the local agency guidelines, which is the lag manual, which is how we are to ensure that federal dollars are spent accordingly for right-of-way acquisition. On that project along South 3rd Street, at every intersection, such as Valley View and Pleasant, we need to acquire right-of-way clips on the corners so we can improve the radiuses when we put in the curbs and gutters for that project. And also down on Southern Avenue, we need a little bit down there. So the anticipated expenditure item, if you look on, actually that's on the supplement number 3, is right around $200,000 to pay for the property acquisition and to pay the county for this work. So I'm asking you to approve the resolution authorizing the interlocal agreement. And I can expand a little more when we get into the actual task order.
Mr. Carlson.
Joe, you kind of answered my question, but the resolution says financial impact, fiscal impact to be determined. Is there a not to exceed dollar amount on this, or how do we?
Point of order, Madam Mayor.
Yes, Roger.
We had agreed that we were going to follow more closely to the Robert's Rules of Order, and we need a motion before we have discussion.
Okay. Thank you, Roger.
Okay, then I move to approve the N2 resolution authorizing the signature of the mayor to do the right-of-way acquisition services with the city of Yakima.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay, we have a motion to approve by Kevin. And did I hear a second? We have a second by Roger. Do we have any discussion? Russ?
Madam Mayor, before you go into discussion,
Mhm.
I asked the council member Wickenhagen consider amending his motion because he stated city of Yakima and the resolution is
Oh.
actually with Yakima County.
Okay,
Please change that to Yakima County, not the city.
okay, so we have a motion by Kevin to approve with his change, a second by Roger, correct, Roger?
correct.
Okay. Any discussion? And we have Russ.
Same question.
Okay, the trying to keep track of it, moved everything around. Now, the interlocal agreement is just an agreement between the Yakima County and the city of Selah that we are asking them to provide the right-of-way acquisition services. Item 02 is the actual a task order from Yakima County for us to have them perform the services. And if you look at that, we'll get to it later, but I'll just tell you, the total is $200,704, which is what we are authorized to spend. And of that, $173,609 is the federal share.
So, yeah, so my question is about breaking up the amounts. The amount that we're expected or thinking that we'll be paying to the Yakima County for their services is my question. I mean, I'm just looking for a general ballpark.
Well, the actual right-of-way acquisition will be about $175,000 of that. It could be. We don't know. I mean, it's an estimate.
Yeah.
Where prices are right now, that's just what we're anticipating. Maybe it'll be less than that, but the county will be billing us for services rendered.
But so what I gather is you're thinking right around $30,000 in services from Yakima County.
That's what we talked about last week. In fact, we're having a meeting tomorrow afternoon at 2:00 between us, HLA, and several of the people from Yakima County. And we're supposed to be going over those numbers and whatnot tomorrow. And then we're discussing, we plan on the next, I think Thursday the 16th, we wanted to have a public information meeting down at the Civic Center. And we invited, I believe, like 98 people or residents by letter. And then we put other information out there for anybody on 5th Street or Selah Avenue that want to participate. But so
That answered my question. Thank you.
You know, it depends. If we just get drug out, if things go smooth, some people really want this project. We'll be glad to see it. But if somebody else wants to bow their neck and things become difficult, we'll probably have to re-talk about this.
Roger?
Yes, does this include all 4 properties on each intersection?
It includes all those 4 corners at each intersection, and I think there is 2 on Southern and 3rd. And then there's one mid-block where we're going to try to seek a drainage easement for putting in a storm sewer.
Jackie?
Thank you. I just want to clarify, are you saying that the approximate amount of $197,000 will cover the acquisition of property and the agency's facilitation of such? Am I understanding that correctly?
Total for right-of-way is 200 and I think 7,000. I don't know why I can't keep nothing straight tonight. I'm trying to juggle these things around. The total act is $200,704. That is what we're authorized to spend currently by the Department of Transportation on this program. Which, like I say, out of that $200,704, $173,609 is federal highway monies. We will have to pay the balance, which is $27,905.
Thank you. That really clears it up. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion on the table by Kevin to approve and a second by Roger, is that correct? Okay. Roll call, Monica?
Councilman Wickenhagen,
Yes.
Councilwoman Matson,
Yes,
Councilwoman Vargas,
Yes.
Councilman Peterson,
Yes.
Councilman Bell,
Yes.
Councilman Costello,
Yes.
Councilman Carlson,
Yes.
unanimous, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you, council. Thank you, Joe.
You're welcome.
N4, Mr. Peters.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is a resolution
Wait.
authorized.
Didn't we, wasn't that N2? And N3 was kind of thrown into the mix because it had some supporting documentation that you asked for?
Yeah, N2 was cleared. We didn't go over it.
Oh,
Are
so,
you-
okay, so we need to go back to N3.
That's
Yes.
correct.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Joe. Sorry, Joe.
That's fine. Like I say, I'm having trouble and I'm the one to put everything together. So item N3 is a resolution authorizing the mayor to sign task assignment through an interlocal agreement, which we just did as N2, with Yakima County Road Right-of-Way Department, identified below as Yakima County, to perform the right-of-way acquisition services for Valley View, South Third Street, and Southern Avenue reconstruction project. And that's the one that actually, I guess, hires the county to do the work. And like I say, and that's in conformance with the supplement 3 that we just talked about, with the 200,703, I think it was.
Thank you, Joe. Cliff?
Madam Mayor, I move to authorize the mayor to sign the task assignment through interlocal agreement with Yakima County Roads to the right-of-way department to perform the right-of-way acquisition services for the Valley View South Third Street and Southern Avenue reconstruction project.
I second that.
We have a motion to approve by Cliff. We have a second by Russ. Is there any discussion, council? Roll call, Monica?
Councilman Wickenhagen,
Yes.
Councilwoman Matson,
yes,
Councilwoman Vargas,
Yes.
Councilman Peterson,
Yes.
Councilman Bell,
Yes.
Councilman Costello,
Yes.
Councilman Carlson,
Yes.
unanimous, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Okay, N4, Mr. Peters.
All right. Yeah, so this is a resolution authorizing the mayor to sign a task order 2021-07. It's between the city of Selah and HLA Engineering and Land Surveying to study potential traffic impacts to the city's transportation system that would result from the full build out of the Crusher Canyon sewer project that the council has approved. The physical impact is not to exceed $28,100. And the project area is from approximately 12th Street and Crusher Canyon Road, southwest to Lookout Point Road and Crusher Canyon Road. I guess I would say this is an additional study, and in addition to the raise grant application that we've already submitted for funding for to receive. This particular study is important with regard to our traffic impacts along Crusher Canyon and specifically First Street. We anticipate, if you look at the backgrounds and facts on the agenda item summary, that there's going to be approximately over, I would say, 1,020 vehicle trips generated if this property is built out. And so it's important for us to go and study the traffic impacts that are going to be generated from the different land uses that could develop in that area. And that will go and give us a good look at where the carrying capacity is on Crusher Canyon Road and our intersection of First and Natchez, right in front of City Hall. once we know whether we're going to be at capacity or over capacity, then we can have HLA look as part of this study at what options or mitigation measures can the city do and plan for in the future to go and reduce that constriction points in that development area. And so that's what this study does. It's looking specifically at that development area that we're putting the sewer in and giving us a good understanding of where we're at capacity wise, what our constrictions are, and then what it would cost to implement some of those mitigation measures. So that way, as development occurs over time, we can, through the environmental review process, require a pro rata share contribution of that improvement. So that way, at the time that it's time to build that improvement, the money is essentially there, or a large portion of it is there. And so staff is just asking that the council consider approving this task order.
Thank you, Jeff. Russ, do you have a question?
Only if there's a motion.
Roger?
I move to approve mayor signing task order 2021-07.
Thank you, Roger.
I'll second.
Thank you, Cliff. So we have a motion to approve by Roger, a second by Cliff. Is there any discussion? Russ?
I just wanted to clarify a statement by Mr. Peters. I don't think the council has officially approved this project. I think it's been discussed, but a statement was made that the council has approved that this happened. But as far as studying it, my understanding is that's been approved and approached, but I don't know that the entire project has been approved. So I just want to clarify that, unless I'm missing something, that the entire sewer line run has not been approved. Do I remember right?
My understanding is that you approved design. I want to say either last meeting or the meeting before.
But just design, not the entire project.
I'd have to go back and check the meeting minutes on it, but
yeah, I and sorry for putting this in right now, but I don't recall approving the entire project, but just approving steps of the project. So I just wanted to make sure that we're not going forward with this assuming that everything's been approved.
We'll have to go back and check on that, but I believe the task order was for design and construction management.
Okay.
And, we did request to state legislators for $1 million of the $2 million for the construction. So I think the train's kind of left the station on this one.
I recall that all that information. I just wanted to make sure I don't recall, and again, maybe I'm mistaken, but I just wanted to make sure that we verify that the actual full-on construction has been approved and not just design. Because I remember.
Let us verify that, but I believe that was the case.
Okay.
I guess I would also say too is that regardless of whether the sewer project goes forward, we do know that there are intersections along this route, I'll call it for lack of a better term, that are at close to capacity right now. And, we want to be as prepared as we can and understand and know at what point in time do we go over that point, and do we need then start to have to either adjust the level of service on those roads or start constructing traffic signals and what have you.
Yeah, I'm okay with this study. I just wanted to make sure that just clarify that final details.
Okay, Cliff, you have your hand up?
I do. We just, a few minutes ago, in the 6-year transportation plan, is one of the items there was the transportation analysis that is tentatively scheduled to be in next year, 2022. And so is this traffic analysis for Crusher Canyon, would it be rolled into that? Is there a reason, since we don't have the sewer line there yet, that it can't be done together? Or are we paying for the same thing twice? Or I'm just
No.
confused.
To answer your question, Dan, the short answer is no. They're not rolled into each other. Although if the 6-year transportation improvement program were successful in getting the RAISE grant application to do that larger study, that larger study would involve some of these intersections, looking at them, but not specifically giving us the improvements necessary to bring the level of service up for this area. This particular study is separate of its own because of the fact that we already know that we have some development constrictions with our streets, and we're bringing in more traffic potentially by spurring development through this section of roadway. So we can certainly sit here and say, okay, fine, let's not go forward with the traffic study and just motor on. The issue is then that as these developments come in, they may or may not trigger environmental review. And at the point in time when the developments come in and more traffic is put down the road, it will come to a point of failure. And at that point in time, we won't be able to go back and retroactively collect any of the money that should have been required of these developments as they went in. And the city would be stuck paying for the lion's share of the improvements to that intersection, if maybe all of it.
So if we increase the traffic flow by over 1,000 in Crusher Canyon, why are we stopping at 12th Street? Because those coming off of Crusher Canyon on 12th Street are likely going to come all the way through to First. I see a potential bottleneck.
It includes the intersections going down through that. That's just describing the area that the sewer improvement was going to be put in. So that's the development area that we're describing.
This study will go all the way from the top of the hill, Lookout Point Road, down to First. It's not, it won't be just starting at 12. It does the entire segment of Crusher Canyon and that cheese to First.
Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Kevin, you have your hand up?
Mr. Peters, will this include analysis of what impact will up during development as we're putting in the line and stuff, what it will do to traffic during that time? Does it include that, or is this after the fact?
Say that first part again. I didn't quite catch the.
Does this include what the traffic pattern will be during the development and during the installation of the pipes and everything?
No, it does not. This is looking at the land use pattern that's there, the number of traffic generated, that the streets that are presently there today, and as the development occurs and these new traffic generation starts to infiltrate through the system, the impacts on those existing intersections and street segments that are, I'll call it, downstream of the development.
Thank you.
Joe had wants to make a comment.
I just wanted to say, if you remember, there was discussions that, you know, the previous city administrator believed that this sewer line going up Crusher Canyon was going to prompt a lot of development relatively quickly. And so what we were wanting to do is get a handle on is what full build out would look like from this drainage basin. And like Jeff was explaining, what the impacts will be on down to First Street. And then they will talk about some probably various different improvements that could be performed. It won't make a decision. She'll throw some what ifs out. And like I say, whether you got to add a light at Third and Natchez, or you're going to have to eliminate some parking perhaps on Natchez in front of City Hall and whatnot to get additional lanes. You know, that's what we want to try to wrap our hands around. So that as development comes in and they submit their plans, and as the city does environmental review and looks at impacts, then they can say, okay, you have a percentage of whatever based on your trip generation that you are responsible for a percentage of these improvements, just like we did with the school district and we did with Canyon Cliffs development.
Roger?
I know the council's already approved a couple of developments that are in process on Crusher Canyon, but they're not built out. And I just would ask that the traffic impact from those also be included in this, because they're going to impact everything from about 10th coming down to First, certainly, and maybe even to South Wena. So is that in the plan right now?
Yes. So actually, that's partly what triggered this request going to the council, is that when we looked at, like Joe said, the schools, those had a direct impact. And when we went and did the traffic study for those particular new schools, it showed us that there was some constrictions and we were getting close to our carrying capacity for our streets down near Natchez and First at that intersection. And then we also saw some constriction going up Natchez before it turns into Crusher Canyon Road as well. And then again, when we went and did the study for the subdivision there, the new subdivision up Crusher Canyon Road, that also it didn't generate a whole lot of trips, but it pushed that number closer to level service D, which is the city's letter for failure of a street exceeding capacity. When we pushed it further, and we actually did require Graph's development to do a traffic study on their full build out, it even got closer. And so because of all of those different traffic studies that we did, given those environmental reviews, we know that we're very close. And in fact, we were quite surprised that the new apartment units didn't push us over the edge at that time. So that's why, hence, we're, like Joe explained, we're wanting to make sure we know exactly what that level and number is of traffic that's going to trigger that. And then what do we need to start planning for now as far as to improve those road segments that we can then go and charge back to the developer his pro rata share of that improvement as those trips get generated. Does that answer everybody's question?
It looks like you've done that. So we have a motion on the table to approve, and somebody have to raise their hand. Who moved to approve first?
Councilmember Bell moved and Councilmember Peterson seconded.
Okay. We have a motion to approve by Councilman Bell, a second by Councilman
Peterson,
Peterson. Roll call, Monica.
Councilman Wickenhagen,
Yes.
Councilwoman Matson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas,
Yes.
Councilman Peterson,
Yes.
Councilman Bell,
Yes.
Councilman Costello,
Yes.
Councilman Carlson,
Yes.
unanimous, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Ordinances 01, Mr. Schwab.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, council members. What you have before you is an ordinance to amend the 2021 budget for the Civic Center for stackable chairs and carts in the amount of $16,195, $4,000 of which has been donated by CC Catering. We had an agreement with Harvest that if they were to ever vacate the Civic Center, that they would take the chairs and the carts that they had purchased a decade or so ago. And they were fortunate enough to get their own building during COVID, and they jumped ship and they've been operating out of their new facility for a little while now. So the Civic Center not having sufficient number of chairs poses a problem for us and opening up and operating fully. So we're asking that the council approve the ordinance so that we can purchase I believe it's 325 stackable chairs so that we can continue to have crab feed fundraisers, bazaars, weddings, quinceañeras, all of that stuff. So if anybody has any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer those.
Mike.
I move to approve the ordinance amending the 2021 budget for the Civic Center, stackable chairs and carts.
Thank you.
I second that.
So we have a motion to approve by Councilman Costello, a second by Councilman Carlson. Is there any discussion? Roll call, Monica.
Councilman Wickenhagen,
Yes.
Councilwoman Matson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas,
Yes.
Councilman Peterson,
Yes.
Councilman Bell,
Yes.
Councilman Costello,
Yes.
Councilman Carlson,
Yes.
unanimous, Madam Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Zach. Ordinance in 02, Mr. Henning.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Ordinance in 02 is amending the 2021 budget for right-of-way acquisition for Valley View South 3rd Street and Southern Avenue reconstruction. Like I was saying, we originally had like $104,000 in there, and our preliminary estimate was showing, like I said, we're about $207,700 now. So we redid the original supplement with DOT, which is the last page of this action item. And so we moved 100,000 out of construction and moved it up to right-of-way phase, which is the next phase. You have design, then right-of-way, and then construction if you have right-of-way. And so that's where we're obtaining this money from. And so we need to approve the supplement. I need to get this back to WashDOT so we can move forward with the task assignment with Yakima County.
Thank you, Joe.
You're welcome.
Jackie.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to authorize the mayor to sign the attached ordinance providing for the above actions.
Kevin will second.
We have a motion to approve by Jackie, a second by Kevin. Roll call, Monica, or is there any discussion? No. Okay, roll call, Monica.
Councilman Wickenhagen,
Yes.
Councilwoman Matson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas,
Yes.
Councilman Peterson,
Yes.
Councilman Bell,
Yes.
Yes.
Councilman Costello,
Yes.
Councilman Carlson,
Yes.
unanimous, Madam Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Henning. Public appearances, we have none. Reports and announcements. Chief Lang.
Good evening, everybody. Only thing we got going around here is call volume has increased with the way the weather's been and the COVID restrictions. So we're starting to see some of our calls come back up. We started our annual hose testing and hydrant testing this month. Should be completed by the end of the month. And then just as a reminder, it's hot and dry outside. No open burning in city limits. No fireworks. Happy birthday, Russ. Are there any questions? Okay, I'm off to council then. Thank you.
Thanks. Mr. Peters.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm just going to cover planning and building, and I'll let Joe explain everything else that we have going on. So in the planning department, we're currently working on getting a FEMA floodplain ordinance revision completed. We were notified about a month ago that the city has new floodplain maps for the Natchez River, which is the one that floods us out a little bit every now and then, at least down by the golf course and maybe not other places in town. But in adopting those particular maps to become effective on their own by October, we have to amend our floodplain ordinance to meet FEMA standards. So they went through our current ordinance and provided us with all of the state mandated changes. And so we'll be taking those to environmental review and then on to the planning commission. And I expect to have that coming to you at the public hearing no later than the end of September. The planning commission has completed a review of a short plat, which the city administrator approved just yesterday. And that is over on Lyle Loop. It's a small, little, remember correctly, 4-lot subdivision, all single family home zoned. Also, we're working and expecting to see the capital facility plan come back from HLA, which we will then go and move forward on comp plan amendments to the actual text of our city comprehensive plan in conjunction with the capital facility plan. And we'll bring back either the capital facility plan first by itself for a public hearing to the council, and then the comp plan amendment will follow later. Just depends upon when they get it to us and when we can get it through environmental review. So we're working on that and expecting that to be heading your way soon. Other things in planning, we have opened up the comprehensive plan map amendment. We know that there is a need from at least one citizen in town to do some changes to zoning and their comprehensive plan designation. So the planning commission has opened that process up through the month of June, and will close it in at their first meeting in July. Also, the planning department will be preparing a comp plan amendment for the proposed location for the police station, to change that to be a commercial zoning district, which will accept the police station use on that site. And that's pretty much the highlights of what we're doing in planning. Building wise, things are definitely picking up, even with the fact that there is higher lumber prices. Many people, I think, are either just trying to finish out their houses and their new developments, so they don't have to worry about the prices going higher, or they're sitting tight and waiting things out. But we're seeing a much more increased development as compared to this time last year. our building inspector is, of course, busy out going and doing all of his inspections for all of these different locations. We are still working planning / building and public works with the folks for the brewery as you come into town, and we may see a right-of-way vacation coming down the pipeline to the city council. We're waiting for them to submit that application. Other than that, that's all I have to report.
Thank you, Jeff. Russ, you have a question?
Yeah, Jeff, could you, on the planning commission minutes, there was some discussion about driveways and water collection. Can you address that and what was discussed, a little bit more detail and kind of which direction we're going on that?
Yeah, I can touch on it briefly. So we've had several meetings on basically it's stormwater standards. There is I would say a municipal need, I'll call it, to ensure that stormwater that leaves people's property via either running down the driveway or coming off their lot from inappropriate placed drains, I'll call them, or no gutters on the house. And this requirement comes from the Department of Ecology, which says that the water that you have on your property as a homeowner should stay and remain on your property, and you should have appropriate controls to make that so. As everybody who lives here in Selah knows, I mean, we have some very steep driveways in town. And some developers are better at putting controls in place to make sure that stormwater stays on that property. And so the city was looking at putting some controls in place. We were looking at things with the planning commission, like making requirements for gutters on houses and making sure that their downspouts are placed in the correct location so they're not depositing onto a steep driveway and running out to the road. Things like rock dry wells that you can put in on the side of your house to appropriately drain your water, and other features like that. There's a lot of I'll call it discussion back and forth with regard to what is better, how far do we want to go as a city? Do we want to, make the developers do more or less? And because it's a topic that requires a lot of discussion and looking at the different language and what other cities have done as well, it was decided at the past meeting that the Planning Commission would like to postpone further discussion on the item until we're back in person. And that doesn't mean that the staff has stopped looking at the different options and gathering information when we do get back together. It just means that for the time being, we're hoping that maybe by the end of July or possibly August, the governor will let us all go back to doing business as normal. And that's where we kind of left it.
Thanks.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
Public Works, Mr. Henney.
Well, thank you, Madam Mayor. We're just trying to keep the streets clean and water and sewer flowing and parks open. It's was starting to warm up. Grass was growing quick. It kind of slowed down. We had a meeting last week, a Zoom meeting with USDA for the ones we're trying to apply for. Well, we have applied for the loan for the downtown sewer reconstruction project. That is very slow going. They just slow. Everybody's reviewing it and making comments, and we're dealing with them. I don't believe we'll be bringing a loan agreement before council until maybe this first meeting in July, but probably the second meeting. And by the time we go through their 3-week ad requirements and then a couple of weeks for the contractor to mobilize, and we're being told now it's up to 10 to 12 week procurement time for pipe. I really not too optimistic that we'll be seeing a construction start this year. Just can't seem to get this thing moving ahead of a snail's pace. We're trying ourselves to stay ahead of supply issues. You know, a couple months ago, we start seeing where the cost of some materials are going up and they were talking about shortages. We went and procured ourselves additional pipe fittings, meter fittings, and copper pipe for water services. So we're sitting fairly well right now, but based on the number of meters we have projected to go in this year, we'll probably consume what we have. But yeah, the cost of brass fittings and copper pipe was really shot up, but we got ahead of the game and ordered this stuff a month or so ago. So I think we're sitting pretty fine. We're moving ahead, trying to come up with an additional water source through irrigation districts. We've got 2 districts we'll probably be dealing with. Well, the only 2 in the area that we have. So we just have a lot going on. The school district is starting, I think, next week for the improvements, public improvements in the right of way. And we'll start that inspection of those. We just got a lot going on. We're just trying to keep everything going. We had tonight at 10 to 5, Mr. Jones gets a call from somebody. I don't know, and you know, everybody can say that wasn't the right thing to do, but back 50, 60 years ago, especially when you look at some of the records that when we acquired wire and pipe, it was released by the Department of War. And so instead of putting in full-size mains, they ran 1.5-inch galvanized lines through neighborhoods to serve in between intersections that did have standard sized pipes, and hydrants were located there. Anyway, we had a water leak 10 to 5. So he ran out, did an assessment, didn't think it would hold for overnight. So we called in a few guys in the crew and they took off in our Vector truck and are out dealing with that now. So I noticed they left just a little after 5. They haven't come back yet. So I don't know how bad that is. Hopefully they'll get it under control. So yeah, we're just trying to do our best. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you, Joe.
You're welcome.
Parks Department, Mr. Schwab.
Thanks. So we are in week 3 of youth soccer. So we're running pretty good there. We've got, with graduation next weekend and the summer months closing in quick, we've got more park rentals, a little more interest in Civic Center. So once we get those chairs, we'll be able to fill that baby back up again. Next Saturday is the car show. So if you know anybody who's got a car they want to put in there, send them my way. I spoke with Alpha Pyrotechnics late last week to confirm the 4th of July. So on July 4th, we will have our fireworks show again this year. Hope to resume the Independence Day celebration in 2022. But we will be setting off fireworks on July 4th around 9:45. But the department's picking back up, so we are in business again. That's all I've got.
Thank you. Any questions for Zach? Oh, he's already gone. Thanks.
Oh, I'm still here.
Oh. There's no questions. Thanks, Zach. Chief Chrisman.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Like Chief Lang said, we're also seeing an increase in our calls for service. We're up about 20% this last week. And as Zach just mentioned, with the high school graduation this week, I've been working with the parents of graduates group just to make sure that's a safe and successful event. just so you know, on Friday night, between 5:30 and 6 o'clock, the students will be conducting their cruise through town. And I think it starts at the high school and ends up at Kings Row. Saturday is the graduation, and I think it begins around 11 o'clock and wraps up early afternoon. We're seeing more construction property prowling. And so our members are keeping a close eye on the construction sites in town with the price of materials going up, as Mr. Henney mentioned, becomes kind of a prime target. We had one theft last week that was a little over $3,500. Someone commented that was about 2x4s and a half a sheet of plywood. But I think it was a lot more than that, but nonetheless, something we're keeping an eye on. I met with the Yakima Chiefs this afternoon, and we talked about all of the impending policy changes as a result of the new legislation that's just cascading down on us. I think I may have mentioned last time we met, we had over 100 legislative pieces that affected policing in Washington state. And so we're sifting through all of that and making sure that our policy and procedures are up to date to address that. And then finally, we just started a discussion today about National Night Out. And it sounds like that's going to be a go this year. It's August 3rd. And so we'll be working with some of the surrounding areas here to coordinate that effort. I'm happy to take any questions if you have any. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Chief. Council members. Councilman Bell.
Yes, Madam Mayor, the only thing I have is the Law and Justice Center Committee met on the 3rd, and we will meet again on the 17th. We have 3 architectural firms who have submitted all the required information of interest. So we'll be moving forward with trying to bring something back to the full council as a recommendation for a architect to move forward with the Law and Justice Center. That's it.
Thank you. Councilman Wickenhagen.
No report.
Thank you. Councilman Costello.
No report.
Thank you. Councilman Carlson, birthday boy.
Just very little report. The SDA has been working hard on various different projects, including the sip and stroll in conjunction with the chamber. So highly recommend everyone to participate in that. Lots and lots and lots of businesses and food companies are participating, and so it's a chance to get out and try some of what our community offers. So that should be a good one, and we should be commended for Council Member Costello for his efforts to help out and pitch in on committees for the SDA. So I know the SDA is grateful for his volunteer time.
Thank you. Councilwoman Mattson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The Selah Chamber of Commerce has been meeting on organization of the Wine, Dine, and Beyond. That's going to be held in October 15th. And then also, again, a reminder following Russ's comment about the sip and stroll. And that's just my report.
Thank you. Councilman Peterson.
No report.
Thank you. Councilwoman Vargas.
No report.
Thank you. And our interim city administrator, Mr. Henney. You're muted, Joe.
I am not now.
You're good.
Well, first of all, I want to thank the mayor for putting her trust in me, and I'm trying to get up to speed on dozens of different items such as the BDI or our basic disposal, updated contract for solid waste. We had a meeting on the CARES Act with the Selah Downtown Association and Yakima County Development Association, and the city went a little different direction than the other cities, so we kind of went on straight with Commerce, and because they were talking about audits, but Dale's provided some information, and it looks like we're under the $750,000 threshold of expending federal dollars. So we're hoping that will exclude us from any audits. But I know that the state auditors are auditing some of the other cities, and hopefully they performed well and they don't create a concern from the auditors, and they just do everybody anyway. The long-term care Act is coming, obviously the first of the year, and that's where employees will be taxed, I guess, less of a better word, on their salaries. I think it's 58 cents per $100 of salary, and for a long-term care insurance. And there's options to get out of that and get your own insurance, but that has to do fairly quickly, because I guess a lot of people are taking or wanting to take advantage of that because they don't care for the state system. I get a feeling the state will get petitions like crazy because the way they put this program together and don't have a lot of questions. But Teresa's been working on some of that information. Rob's been putting stuff together. We're having a quick informational meeting with public works staff and workers tomorrow morning. So we're trying to muddle through that. Anyway, just got a lot of things. And I just want to extend, if anybody wants to talk about anything that you got on your mind, don't hesitate to give me a call, and we can certainly sit down and I'll try to answer whatever I can for you. So that's it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Case.
I have no public report.
Thank you. Just want to thank everybody for their work the last couple of weeks of stepping up and making sure that things are running pretty smoothly. Also want to remind everybody there's no council meeting on the 22nd. We will return on July 13th. And I know last year we did not see one of our citizens out and about, and we always saw her everywhere in town, Norma Smith. I just wanted to report that I was up on 7th and Southern today, talking to a contractor that is doing some work up there. And guess who drove by? Norma Smith and her neighbor. They're out cruising, looking around at the new buildings. And she wanted to know if I was moving into that new home that's being built. And I said, no, but I designed it. And she says, oh, you did a wonderful job. Then I had to break her heart and tell her, no, I didn't design it. So when she left, she winked at me and she said, nice design on that house. It's beautiful. So she still has her spunk in her. But they were driving around town, checking out things, seeing how things were going and how the town was running. So thank you, Norma, if you're out there listening, for keeping us in line. That's all I have. We have a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Okay.
Second.
We have a motion to adjourn by Councilman Carlson, a second by Councilman Bell. All those in favor, raise your hand. Opposed? It's unanimous. We are now adjourned. We will see you in 4 weeks.